5 Fort Worth areas where buyers are quietly winning right now. If you have spent the last 5 years watching random YouTube channels try to tell you that Texas real estate is about to completely crash, and then you open up the news blogs and see headlines saying that the greater Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is one of the top major markets expecting a major pricing dip, and yet you're still here, still researching, still watching videos, and still wondering whether you've been right to wait or you've been quietly losing your primary buying window entirely. This video is for you today. Now, I just pulled the actual official MLS sales numbers through the recent months across Tarrant County, Denton County, and the greater Fort Worth residential sector for single family homes. If you had to guess what the actual year-over-year pricing index number looks like right now, what would you say? Well, I'm going to share the straight truth with you. It is exactly 0. It is completely flat. It's not down 5%, it's not down 10%, it is not down 15% across core family suburbs. It is perfectly flat. Now, townhome and multifamily sales are experiencing a completely different set of adjustments, and I have actually covered those structural issues in other videos on this channel. But our local time to contract, meaning exactly how quickly a clean, well-priced single-family home goes into contract with the buyer, is actually up significantly over this exact same time last year. Now, this entire video is not going to be about a whole bunch of dry, nerdy statistics, even though I am absolutely going to share some of the critical data with you as we unpack the map. This video is really about exposing the underlying story of the market. And here's what the street level story is actually saying. The massive, devastating crash narrative that we have all been aggressively sold by the mainstream media over the last 3 to 5 years simply is not showing up anywhere. But there is something else massive happening out here right now that most people are quietly failing to talk about on the camera. The massive buyer leverage part of the real estate story is completely real, but is currently hiding. For most unrepresented people, it is hiding in plain sight. That is, unless you know exactly where to look on the local grid. So today I'm going to share 5 highly specific places across the Fort Worth market where you as a home buyer will hold massive contractual advantage. And if you have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for your gut to finally feel like the right moment to relocate has arrived, what I'm about to show you is going to give you a massive amount of verified information that might just confirm that exact suspicion. Now, if you're completely new to the channel, my name is Ludwin, and nearly 15 years ago, back in the summer of 2011, my wife Margie and I packed up our family, sold almost everything we owned, and moved down here all the way from New York City. We left behind a 400 square foot basement apartment in Queens because we knew that starting our family inside that tiny city footprint just didn't align with our long-term goals anymore. Now, 4 kids later, we have been living, working, and building our legacy on this Texas soil, and we have been absolutely loving every single minute of it. Our real estate team has now helped hundreds of families turn the exact same relocation dream into a secure reality. So I have seen a massive amount of what works perfectly and a lot of what people get completely wrong over that time period. And here's what I want to share with you before we get into these 5 specific areas where buyers are winning. When we get stuck in what I call analysis paralysis, and yes, let's be completely real, that happens to me sometimes, I see it constantly with about a third of my relocation clients. They don't usually struggle to make a decision because the local market is inherently bad. They struggle because the information they have been consuming online is built entirely on big picture numbers, national numbers, state numbers, or broad county averages. I mean, half the time they're accidentally associating our local market behavior with the negative real estate behavior of the high cost states they currently live in. But here's the thing, you have to understand, you do not buy a broad county average. You buy one single house in one specific neighborhood inside one district community from one individual homeowner who has highly specific personal situations. And the reason this is so critical to understand is that Fort Worth market data I just shared, flat prices and stable sales velocity, that is simply the macro average. Inside that average, there are highly coveted pockets where sellers still possess the upper hand and homes sell in 2 weeks at full list price or even above asking. But right next to those zones, there are specific pockets where sellers have been desperately chasing the market down for over a year. They are completely willing to negotiate on things like price, cover the entire cost of your title policy, pay for your upfront closing costs, and even offer to buy down your mortgage interest rate. Not only reducing the net price of the home over time, but actively reducing reducing your monthly mortgage payment at the exact same time. Now, that is what I call real negotiating power and true leverage. So today we're going to cover 5 specific areas across our market where buyers possess a massive amount of that power right now. And we're going to start where the data looks completely counterintuitive out of the gate: our luxury inner ring strongholds. So if I had told you just a year ago that we would be sitting here today talking about negotiating significant price improvements inside the elite old money enclaves like Westover Hills or along the beautiful tree-lined streets of Tanglewood, you would have told me I was completely making things up. Trust me, I get it. Because the reality is that the high-end luxury market inside Central Fort Worth has been basically bulletproof for the better part of the decade when it comes to home values. But here is exactly what has shifted on the ground. If we look at the county metrics as a macro whole, single-family home prices are flat year over year at 0%. Like we discussed, there is currently about 3 to 4 months of housing inventory available across the board, which means if no other homes were listed for sale over the next 90 days, we would completely sell through the entire supply. That data indicates a highly balanced real estate market where sellers still maintain a slight psychological edge, but the second you zoom directly into our premier luxury pockets, specifically areas surrounding the Tarrant County Cultural District, TCU, and the Tanglewood corridors, the underlying story starts to completely flip. Even these remain some of the most highly desirable, prestigious addresses in the entire region. Active price reductions on existing listings are up a massive 34% compared to this exact same time last year. Homes in these elite neighborhoods are now closing for about 95% of their original asking price, which means that you as an informed home buyer are walking away with roughly a 5% discount straight off the list price on average. And in some of those specific luxury pockets, particularly anything priced over the 2 million mark, homes are actively sitting on the market for well over 100 days. And I don't know about you, but a lot of luxury homeowners who have their properties listed for nearly 4 months start to get incredibly anxious and they want to start negotiating serious deals to move the asset. So what has fundamentally changed in our luxury sector? Ultimately, what we are witnessing right now is a massive aspirational price reset. Luxury homeowners across Central Fort Worth held the line aggressively through 2024 and 2025, operating under the assumption that the crazy post-pandemic pricing premium they were receiving was going to be completely permanent, and simply it wasn't. At the same time, high-end new urban construction developments, luxury high-rises, and modern townhome projects added a significant amount of fresh inventory to the absolute top tier of the market. Buyers suddenly secured an abundance of choices, and for the first time in years, the legacy homeowner who had been holding completely firm had to actually come back to the negotiating table and compromise. So what does that mean to your family in real raw dollars? Well, let me give you a concrete example from our active files. On a beautiful home that was originally listed for $1.6 million near the premier central corridors, what I'm seeing right now is that buyers are successfully negotiating 5 to 7% straight off the asking price. Plus, they are securing substantial financial credits for inspection items that turn up during our due diligence window. Now, on top of that, we are successfully getting these luxury sellers to agree to fund a temporary interest rate buy-down for the first 2 years of the buyer's loan, what the lending world calls a 2-1 buy-down. That is a highly sophisticated negotiating strategy, has a massive serious impact on your monthly mortgage numbers and dramatically lowers your overall cost of ownership when you first move in. When you stack all 3 of those structural components together, the price cut, the inspection credits, and the interest rate buy down, that translates to over $100,000 in real tangible savings on the exact same property that would have had 4 competing offers and absolutely 0 negotiation room just 18 months ago. Now, that is what I call real buyer leverage. And if you have been quietly assuming that our premier inner ring neighborhoods were completely off the table for your budget, the numbers show that they aren't. You just need an expert who knows exactly where the room to negotiate is. Now, that is a fantastic surprise for our area, but let's go directly to where the data makes a lot of logical sense. We're going to head straight over to our northern expansion engine, Wesley Chapel's equivalent, the Northwest ISD corridor. If our luxury inner ring reset was a surprise to you, the high-growth northern corridor of Tarrant and Denton County is where the proof shows up in absolutely black and white. The Northwest ISD and Haslet expansion corridor is currently the primary sector in our entire regional market where single-family homes prices are actually down year over year. And it is not by a small, insignificant fraction. The median home price across the specific sector has adjusted down 4.6% year over year, sitting right around an accessible $375,000. There is an incredibly healthy, abundant amount of available housing inventory for sale out here, hovering right at a balanced 3.5 to 4 months of supply. Now, the average single-family home in this corridor is closing for about 96% of its asking price, and properties are going on the contract in about 50 days on average. And look, that is not just my personal opinion as an agent. That data comes directly from our local multiple listing service, which is the exact master database where all the major national public portals like Zillow, Realtors.com, and Trulia pull their information from. The Northwest ISD corridor sits directly on top of the single busiest, most aggressive residential builder corridors in the entire United States. We are talking about massive 1,000-acre master plan communities like Sendero Ranch, Wellington, and the high-end development expanding out towards Justin. In these neighborhoods, major national volume builders are competing fiercely against each other for a smaller pool of quality buyers than the originally projected. Now, the reality is that while population migration to the greater Fort Worth area remains incredibly strong and well above our pandemic baseline, the insane, frantic migration boom of 2021 and 2022 has leveled out in a normal, sustainable pace. So what does that intense builder competition actually look like for you as a buyer right now in 2026? Major national builders out here are actively offering promotional mortgage interest rate as low as 3.9%. Think about that. Those are near pandemic level interest rates being offered in a 2026 environment. And on top of that, they are offering massive design center incentives, frequently giving buyers up to $50,000 in free structural upgrades. So when you sit down with a builder to customize your property, choosing your quartz countertops, your custom kitchen backsplashes, your high-end cabinetry, and your premium flooring, that $50,000 is applied directly as a credit, meaning you aren't financing those upgrades into your loan. And then to sweeten the deal even further, we are routinely seeing builders throw in another $20,000 to $30,000 of pure cash to completely cover your upfront closing costs. So let's do the raw math on this scenario so you can see exactly how much money this saves your family. On a standard $500,000 brand new construction home, securing a 3.99% promotional interest rate compared to today's standard market rate, which sits closer to 6.5%, saves you somewhere between $50,000 to $70,000 in pure interest charges over just the first decade of that loan. If you add in the $50,000 in free design center upgrades and let's just say another $25,000 in closing cost assistance, you are sitting at over $125,000 in real structural savings on a home where the base sticker price on the website didn't even move. The thing I have to constantly remind my relocation clients when we tour these northern communities is simple. Never take the first offer that the builder sales rep puts in front of you. Builders will always publish a standard baseline number on their inventory websites to protect their appraisal values. But the second you step in with an expert negotiator who understands their inventory liability, they will start making deals. The true net financial package we negotiate is usually 20% to 30% better than whatever generic incentive is posted on their public website. So here's what you need to reframe what you are seeing in the news. The national headlines tell you that Texas is overbuilt and inventory is rising, but that exact inventory rise is your historic window of opportunity. You aren't fighting the market conditions, you are using the builder corporate pressure to your absolute advantage. If you are a young family trying to maximize your square footage and keep your monthly mortgage payment completely secure, this northern expansion corridor is where the math works best for your wealth right now. Now, our next location is going to feel somewhat similar in terms of master plan beauty, but it comes with a highly unique lifestyle twist. We are heading out west to the elite master plan developments of West Fort Worth. Our third winning sector takes us directly out west along the Interstate 30 corridor, focusing heavily on the premier master plan strongholds of Walsh Ranch and the high-growth developments expanding toward the Aledo border. This sector has become one of the most highly watched, desirable residential areas in the entire state of Texas. The velocity of growth and the infrastructure investment out west has been nothing short of unbelievable over the last few years. Now, Walsh Ranch specifically is a massive multi-billion-dollar quality development that has been recognized nationally as one of the premier master plan communities in America for several years running. It is an absolute powerhouse neighborhood featuring private lakes, an elementary school built directly inside the community gates, a state-of-the-art makerspace with 3D printers, a private robotics lab, and a massive luxury fitness campus. And here's exactly why this elite western sector belongs on our winning list today. Single-family resale across this western corridor have adjusted down roughly 2.4% year over year, pulling the median home price in this highly coveted zone down to right around $494,000. Think about that layout. You can now position your family inside a premier top master plan asset for under $500,000. This specific sector currently carries the highest amount of available housing inventory of any suburban pocket in the greater Fort Worth area, sitting at nearly 4.7 months of supply. Because of that healthy inventory layer, buyers out here are successfully negotiating an average of 6% straight off the asking price on resale listings. And if you look at the master plan attachment and townhome developments out west, prices there have adjusted down even further, translating into immense negotiating leverages that you can actively deploy. What is specifically happening inside Walsh Ranch and the western corridors that macro county data doesn't quite capture? The builder incentives in these western communities have officially hit a 5-year high. There are currently multiple top-tier national and custom builders running aggressive, competing promotions simultaneously inside the exact same development. Elite builders like Toll Brothers and David Weekley are offering up to $40,000 in structural design upgrades on contracts that have executed this spring, paired with custom mortgage rates buy-downs that push your permanent interest rates well below the national average. But you must be hyper aware of what I call the wait and build trap. Let me share a real story of an empty nester couple we work with who were retiring from Pennsylvania. They had their hearts completely set on relocating out west to Walsh Ranch, but they asked me, Ludwin, prices are softening slightly in the news. Shouldn't we just rent a place for a year and wait for the base prices to drop even further? Here's the financial reality I walked them through. If you chose to sit on the sidelines and wait for a builder base price to drop another 2 to 3%, which sounds meaningful on paper, but during that exact same wait time, the builder pulls their $40,000 design center credit and eliminates the promotional interest rate buy down, you actually end up paying significantly more in real monthly dollars for the exact same house. Why do builders structure their deals this way? Because major volume developers intentionally front load their incentives on purpose. They do this because a design credit or an interest rate buy down does not show up as a price reduction in the public county courthouse records, but a base price cut does. They're highly motivated to protect the recorded pricing on paper because they want to keep the existing homeowners inside the community happy and protect future appraisals. So they will give away the entire kitchen and sink in closing credits and interest rates and subsidies before they ever slash the official list price. In many situations, waiting saves you absolutely nothing on the back end. Acting now with an expert on your side who understands how to structure that offer gets you the structural upgrades, secures the low fixed payment, and allows your family to start building equity immediately inside one of the highest appreciated master plans in the country. Reframing what you are seeing is key. This western sector isn't softening because something is wrong with the location. It is softening simply because builders are competing harder than they have had in half a decade for buyers. If you're that smart buyer, show up prepared and show up expertly represented. Now, this next area is completely different and it requires an incredibly honest conversation about physical risk and structural due diligence. We are heading out to the water adjacent living of Eagle Mountain Lake. Our fourth winning pocket takes us to the northwestern quadrant of the market, focusing on the waterfront and water adjacent communities surrounding Eagle Mountain Lake. And I am going to give you my honest real estate disclaimer right up front. While macro county sales prices are remaining flat overall at 0%, the waterfront listings around Eagle Mountain Lake and the communities inside the Azle and Lake corridors specifically have adjusted down roughly 8.3% year over year. The median home price in this lake adjacent sector is currently sitting right around $850,000, and properties are averaging a massive 86 days on the market before securing any contract. That is a substantial amount of time for a listing to sit active. 3 months on the market is an eternity for a local seller to wait, and while that is an improvement improvement from last year when homes were languishing over 120 days on the market, it is still moving at an incredibly slow pace. That specific metric, home sitting for nearly 3 months, is the exact number that matters most to me as a strategist. It tells me that local lake adjacent homeowners are finally starting to accept market reality and they are tired of waiting. Now, I know exactly what you're asking yourself. Why is Eagle Mountain Lake seeing this type of pricing correction? And the reality is probably you already know the answer. We have navigated back-to-back transitional weather cycles, local structural insurance premiums across Texas have adjusted upward, and certain older properties around the lake footprint have faced historic drainage and foundation challenges. So I can't sit here on camera and tell you that buying a waterfront or water-adjacent property around Eagle Mountain Lake is completely risk-free. It is not. No water-adjacent real estate in this country ever is. I mean, let's keep it completely real. Nearly 15 years ago, I moved down here and experienced the full intensity of Texas weather cycles firsthand. I know exactly what it looks like from the inside when the rain hits the clay soil. But here's what I will tell you. The buyers who are winning massively around Eagle Mountain Lake right now are the ones who do their homework and refuse to get spooked by big picture media fear. There are families who live on that waterfront right now, and there are families who will build incredible memories on that water for decades to come. That might be your family. What I see smart buyers executing right now is a highly specific targeted strategy. They are focusing heavily on homes constructed after 2010. These are newer construction properties engineered to modern building codes, featuring post-tension concrete slabs with proper structural engineering and superior elevation metrics. Smart buyers are securing their true structural insurance quotes before they ever write a formal offer, not after. They are checking the precise flood zone overlays and they are auditing the specific elevation certificates for that exact parcel, not just relying on generic neighborhood guesses. If you're willing to execute that level of street level due diligence, you can actively buy a gorgeous modern home on a canal or with a stunning lake access for 8% to 12% less than it would have cost you just 18 months ago. You are stepping into a market with a highly motivated homeowner, multiple months of active inventory to browse through, and zero risk of being forced into a panic 24-hour bidding war. This is the exact layout where a specialized local strategist makes all the difference. This lake corridor is a unique backyard, and the whole wide gloom and doom national narrative about Texas weather and insurance is actually doing the hard work of clearing the room for smart home buyers who understand the difference between an unmanaged 1985 lake cabin and a highly engineered, code-compliant 2018 estate. If you're willing to look just one level deeper than that scary headline, the leverage you hold out here is absolutely enormous. Now, our fifth and final area is a highly strategic soft spot that is hiding directly inside the absolute strongest, most expensive county sector in the entire region. We are heading straight into the Keller and South Lake borders. Now, the Keller and South Lake border corridor is historically the single strongest, most resilient family home market in the entire region. The median home price across this premium suburban stronghold is hovering right around $456,000 for standard entries and quickly scales past $750,000, which represents a steady 4.8% increase from the exact same time last year. There is just under 4 months of available housing inventory out here. Homes are closing for about 95% of their original asking prices, and the average property goes under contract in a quick 37 days. That is an incredibly fast sales pace. In fact, it is the fastest moving residential sector in the entire regional market. By every single big picture economic measure, this premium suburban sector is doing phenomenal. So why on earth is Keller proper and the South Lake border on our list of places where buyers are winning today? Because inside this incredibly strong, highly appreciating sector that is up nearly 5% on average, specific estate pockets inside Keller proper are down a clean 7% year over year. The median home prices inside these specific residential tracts is sitting right around $448,000, and homes are actively sitting on the market for an average of 81 days. Think about that math. 81 days on market is more than double the time frame of the rest of the surrounding county. This is the exact phenomenon I was talking about at the beginning of the video, and I call it the big picture trap. This is where the macro county headlines tell one story of a rising, aggressive market, while the actual hyper-local neighborhood tells the exact opposite story. Homeowners inside these specific Keller pockets have been chasing the market down for over a year, and trust me, they are not receiving any local news coverages that makes them feel great about holding on an inflated, unrealistic listing price. A lot of these sellers are tired. Their corporate relocations are forcing their hands, and they are ready to deal. Some of them don't have to, but a large percentages are actively looking for an exit strategy. So here's where the real estate game gets incredibly interesting for a smart buyer. On a clean Keller or Celtic Bordeaux home, the right buyer is going to execute 4 sophisticated negotiating moves simultaneously at the contract table. First things first, we're going to come in with an initial offer price that it reflects exactly where the market is year over year on the ground, completely ignoring where the homeowner wishes values were back during the peak 2022 days. Second, we're going to perform a rigorous structural inspection and ask the seller for substantial monetary credits to address any deferred maintenance or system wear, because trust me, these anxious homeowners want to move their properties and they're actively negotiating on repairs. Now, number 3, we're going to require the homeowners to contribute cash at closing to buy down your mortgage interest rate for the first 2 years of your loan. That move alone puts $8,000 to $15,000 of pure cash savings directly back into your pocket when you need it most during your transition. And number 4, in a large volume of our active contracts right now, we are successfully getting these sellers to pay for your upfront closing costs and title policies on top of everything else. When you stack all 4 of these strategic contract components together, you are able to secure a premium home inside our top-rated schools tract for significantly less money out of pocket than the final recorded sales price would have ever suggested to the public. And you are executing that winning strategy inside a premier county sector that is actively improving over time. If you want a walkable suburban lifestyle and a safe community feel, mature oak trees, and elite educational infrastructure for your children, this Keller proper soft spot is the cleanest, most effective play on the map right now. And as a quick bonus strategy before I wrap up, if you're a highly experienced home buyer and you're willing to look at the attached housing market, there is an incredible amount of hidden leverage tucked inside the luxury townhome and condo developments near the urban town centers. That inventory is sitting at over 8 months of supply, with units closing at 93% of list price. Now, I didn't include that in our core 5 list because the attached condo market isn't an entirely different animal out here, and we produce specific videos on that footprint. But the point remains, if you know how to look past the generic headlines and analyze the hyperlocal data like an insider, the opportunities to win across the market are everywhere. Now let's tie this entire data map together into a clear strategic blueprint. The terrifying clickbait headlines you have been reading online are not necessarily lying to you. They are simply providing an incomplete generic picture. The greater Fort Worth real estate market is absolutely not crashing. Single-family home prices across core communities are remaining highly stable and flat. Time to contract metrics are healthy and the overall economy is moving fast. But every single neighborhood is not behaving the exact same way. The buyer leverage that you have been searching for is completely real. It is just concentrated into 5 specific places right now. It is hiding inside Westover Hills and Tanglewood Luxury, where aspirational prices have finally broken and luxury sellers are ready to compromise. It is hiding inside the Northwest ISD and Haslet corridors, where national volume builders are aggressively buying down your interest rate down into the 3.9 range. It is hiding out west inside Walsh Ranch, where master plan developers are competing harder than they have had to in the last 5 years for buyers. It is hiding around Eagle Mountain Lake, where post-storm pricing has cleared out the competition for home buyers who do honest street-level homework. And it is hiding inside the Keller proper soft spot, which represents a highly exploitable pocket inside the single fastest-moving, most resilient school district tract in the entire region. If you're someone who has been sitting on the sidelines wanting to make this relocation a reality for your family, but you have been paralyzed by channels and media outlets that profit entirely from promoting fear, what I want you to take away from this video today is that the structural numbers are on your side right now in a way that they haven't been seen since before the pandemic. This isn't because something is broken or wrong with Texas. It is simply because our market has finally returned to a healthy, sustainable state of balance. And if you want expert help figuring out which of these 5 winning areas or which specific combination of these pockets actually aligns with the ideal Texan lifestyle you're trying to build for your family, that is precisely what my team and I do every single day on the ground. All of our direct contact information is listed right below in the description box. There is a link right there that takes you straight to my personal calendar where you can easily schedule a private 30-minute Zoom strategy session with me. We will open up Google Maps together, walk you through the neighborhood boundaries, look at active builder inventory lists, review current seller concessions, and we can even audit localized elevation certificates and tax rates if that is what you need to feel completely comfortable. Our only goal is to empower you to make a highly qualified decision for your family's future. Now, don't hesitate to reach out. I read and respond to all of your YouTube comments personally because I care about your transition. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss on our weekly local breakdowns. Until next time, my name is Ludwin. Go out there and live that Texas life, and we will see you real soon on the next video.